Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So I wanted to start a new series. Like I've explained before, I want to be as informative and as educational as possible and give you guys a lot of information on things that you guys are interested in. So I wanted to start a new series called Tuesday Talks with Andrew. So if you guys don't know, my coach is Andrew Pardue, and we've teamed up to kind of bring you guys informative videos. So without any further ado, I want to introduce you guys to my coach Andrew, and he's going to be talking today about nutrition. So I hope you guys learned a lot. So here's Andrew.
Hey everybody, I'm Andrew Pardue. I'm the owner of AP Fit Consulting, which is my online personal training and contest prep company that I started a few years ago in college and really started it as sort of a side thing. Wasn't really sure exactly what I wanted to do as my career, but I knew I wanted it to be in the fitness industry. And at the time I was pursuing some other things in the supplement industry and was able to grow coaching to the point to where it is now my full-time gig, which I'm really excited about and has been a lot of fun growing over the last several years, and especially in the last few months as I've transitioned in. And about the same time, I had probably been coaching about a year or so when I met Christina a few years ago, became really good friends with her, and have now had the opportunity to team up with her, not only to work together as she gets ready to step back on the competitive bikini stage later this year, but also to get ready for her wedding, which is obviously exciting for me, but I know even more so exciting for her. Obviously, being a friend of hers for a few years now, I'm extremely excited and extremely happy for her, and pretty proud to have the chance to obviously work with her contest prep, but then also to have a very small part in making sure that her wedding and all the events around there are as exciting and happy and comfortable as possible. So it's been pretty cool to team up together. We're a few weeks in now. Already the prep is starting to go pretty well and really get rolling along. We thought it would be a pretty cool idea to team up and also do some stuff as far as getting out content to you guys, to her followers, both on YouTube and otherwise. Just help give you a little bit of insight, not only into how her contest prep is being structured, but also how I structure my clients in general, albeit their diet and their training, how I structure theirs, how I personally structure my own diet, and just some information that I've been able to gain over the years, both in college as I studied some various degrees relating to my contest prep. I got my Bachelor of Science in Exercise Science and then minored in business and also minored in chemistry, and a lot of those things I was able to kind of morph around my focus on online training, coaching, and really helping to maximize an athlete's diet and training to help them reach their goals. So I wanted to give you guys a little bit of insight here and there as this contest prep progresses over the next several months, just to hopefully give you some insight into what Christina's doing, of course, but then also to use some of this information to better adjust your own diet and training, whether you're just trying to get better in the off season or maybe you're getting ready for some shows as well in different divisions, and just some tips and tricks and some insight into my strategies that may be able to help you as well. That being said, we thought the first video would be really good to focus on pre, post, and intra workout nutrition, since that's a pretty hot topic in general, especially with the explosion of the supplement industry in the last couple of decades. That seems to always be the first question that I get. People always want to know what to do around their workouts and how much that actually has an effect. So I wanted to kind of give some insight into the strategies I use for my clients and for myself personally, some things to consider that might actually help, and then also give a little bit of insight into what I feel is probably a little over-exaggerated, a little over-hyped, and some things that you may not want to stress too much over, despite what a lot of companies, what a lot of marketing, and what a lot of coaches that really live off promoting the extremes to gain attention for their services may be encouraging you to think about, when in reality it may not be as big of a deal. That being said, I would say before even getting into that, I would definitely encourage you to really focus on your daily intake and your workouts first. Being consistent with your protein, your carbs, your fat intake from day to day, just as your total intake, is going to play much larger of a role in your improvement, whether it's to gain muscle and strength or to lose fat for a bodybuilding show or a bikini show. That's going to play a much larger factor than anything you do before, during, or after your workout. Exponentially more beneficial to just be very consistent with adhering to your diet, really training hard every workout, and really making sure that you're getting all of your sets in, all of your reps in, really pushing yourself from workout to workout. Those are going to be the two biggest things: working hard at the gym every day and actually hitting your daily intake every day. That's going to be the biggest two factors in helping you improve, and that's why a lot of coaches will just give daily macronutrient total goals and pretty much leave it at that. It's a little bit easier for especially a newer client to kind of wrap their mind around and get into a good groove with, but also because that's going to be the biggest factor in your success, is just adhering to your daily intake and then adjusting that from week to week. But that being said, once you have your daily intake down, it's very consistent, you're adhering to your diet very well, you're choosing good food choices, staying hydrated, getting enough dietary fiber, some of those really base foundational aspects of your diet. Once you have that down, I do think there are some benefits to then turning to a little bit more detail-oriented aspects like peri-workout nutrition, and really fine-tuning that to get a little bit more out of your efforts in and out of the gym. A lot of people in the industry, and it's obviously a hot topic, I'm not the first person to talk about it, but a lot of people in the industry will live on extremes. It seems like that's where a lot of coaches, a lot of fitness professionals will live. Extremes are a little bit more attention catching, so from a marketing standpoint, it usually benefits coaches to live on an extreme and really get people's attention quickly on social media or whatever the case might be. But then also, we all fall into the trap of thinking if a little's good, a lot is better, and if reducing something a little bit is good, then reducing it a lot is better, whereas usually there's somewhere in a middle ground that's going to benefit you the most. I definitely don't think pre, intra, and post-workout nutrition is the end-all be-all. If you mess that up, your workout's wasted, like a lot of people might have you believe. But at the same time, I do think there is some merit in focusing on your peri-workout nutrition and at least doing some general strategies that are probably going to help you work a little harder at the gym, recover a little bit faster, and make a little bit more progress from week to week, that over the course of a career or the course of a lifestyle of continually trying to get better can definitely add up. I think there is, like I said, definitely some merit to it. It just may not be as beneficial as a lot of people may have you to believe when they're trying to get you to buy their product or their specific plan for success or what have you. There are a few general guidelines that I like to use when structuring my clients' plans. I do give daily totals, but I also give a general outline of how I think each meal should look as far as the total macro intake of each meal. Again, just to really help people fine-tune and get a little bit more out of their weekly diet plan. As far as macros go around workouts, pre and post-workout nutrition is going to be pretty similar as far as the layout. I'll kind of give you guys an idea of why. The pre-workout meal and the post-workout meal are going to be almost identical more times than not, depending on, again, all of this is said with the idea of everyone's going to be a little bit varied. Everyone's intake is going to be different. Everyone's stage in their contest prep or their off-season is going to be different. So how much food you have to play with is going to obviously depend on those factors and your schedule and what you're having to mix around your workout and how long you have between work and your gym session or what the case might be. Generally, I like to, in a very rough approximate, just giving you the high notes, I like to keep protein spread pretty evenly throughout the day. I like to keep fat pretty low pre and post workout, and then have fat a little bit higher in other meals. And I like to keep carbs pretty high in the meal right before your workout and the meal right after your workout. Just to give you guys a little bit more insight into that, I would say for most athletes, you can benefit from having somewhere around half of your carbohydrate intake, maybe a little bit more than half, split between those two meals. The reason being, again, your daily intake is going to be the largest factor, but having a bulk of your carbohydrates around your workouts does have, again, some merit. I think mostly from a dieting perspective, if you're dieting, having a bigger meal before you work out not only is going to help you as far as energy levels go and making sure that there's enough carbohydrate there to fuel the workouts and protein to, of course, help with the muscle retention, but even from a mental standpoint, I like to have the pre-workout meal be pretty big in comparison when dieting, just because it's never a fun thing to train and try to push yourself in the gym when you're hungry. I know for me personally, if somehow I mistimed my pre-workout meal or I wasn't able to eat quite as much as I'm used to or something like that, and I'm noticeably hungry during my workout, it's very hard for me to not be distracted by that. Even if it's a slight distraction, it's definitely there and it's definitely noticeable for me, and I'm sure for a lot of other people. So not only from an energy standpoint, but from a mental standpoint, not having that distraction when you're dieting, you're pretty much hungry all the time, but anytime you can limit that and allow yourself to focus more on your actual workout and of course have the energy to really push yourself in the workout. So from a dieting perspective, I like to have a lot of carbs or before workout, probably a quarter of your total carb intake or something around that area. Post-workout, whether you're dieting or whether you're in the off season, I like to have those carbs post-workout. More along the lines of helping with glycogen replenishment to a point. There is some information showing that glycogen restoration is heightened post-workout, so the rate at which the glycogen can be restored within muscle tissue is a little bit higher post-workout, which is one reason a lot of people will have quite a bit of carbs post-workout. Insulin sensitivity is heightened through resistance training, so you're technically going to be able to store more carbs into muscle tissue as glycogen with less overall insulin because that insulin sensitivity is higher, so that's a benefit. The biggest thing that I see is not only maximizing that insulin sensitivity, but overall I do think it helps with body composition, even if it's just slight, for having carbs pre and post workout again, because they're more likely to be used as fuel for the workout and then recovery after the workout in the form of glycogen replenishment rather than stored as body fat. So especially if someone's dieting, I like to push a little bit more carbs pre and post workout than I would otherwise. Are you going to drop 5 pounds as soon as you put a lot of your carbs around your workouts? Pretty unlikely. But over the long term, are you going to see some benefits to recovery and some benefits to improving your body composition? I would say more times than not, you probably will, especially if you're someone that tends to hoard their macros for one big meal later in the day and it might be quite a bit distant from your workout. If you do that typically and then you instead decide to put some more carbs to your pre and post workout meal, you're probably going to see a little bit more difference than someone that may spread it pretty evenly already. As far as fat, as I mentioned, pre and post workout I like to keep fat pretty low. I would say if you wanted a number, even though it's going to vary, I personally go for around 10 grams or less pre and post workout, and then I use the rest of my fat in my other meals. One, because having that fat pretty low in those meals are going to help those carbs to be digested relatively quicker, so they're going to be more likely to be used as energy or more readily available for energy. Post workout, they're going to be more readily digested and absorbed into the bloodstream and then stored as glycogen into the muscle, whereas if you have a high fat meal, that extends the digestion time of a meal. Not only will it help you not to feel so, you want to feel full during your workout, but of course no one wants to feel sluggish during the workout, so keeping fat pretty low pre-workout will help avoid that sluggishness, and then of course help carbs to be more readily available during your workout. And again, having fat pretty low post-workout is going to help with that glycogen replenishment. Glycogen takes upwards of 24 to 48 hours to completely restore in a human muscle tissue. That 48 hours is more for like endurance athletes or someone that's training for several hours and really depleting their glycogen. But glycogen replenishment is on a 24 to 36 or so hour spectrum for most people. So again, I wouldn't worry too much about that post-workout meal being absolutely perfect to maximize glycogen replenishment. But again, it does help to a point. Over time can probably benefit you. So I like to keep fat pretty low and then spread it more or less evenly across your other meals. And then as far as protein goes, again, all these recommendations are pretty similar for pre and post-workout. Protein in general, whatever your daily protein intake is, I would very much encourage any athlete, man or woman, to spread it as evenly as possible across your meals. Essentially, without going on to a long tangent, that's going to really help to maximize muscle recovery, muscle growth through stimulating muscle protein synthesis as efficiently as possible. I would say 4 to 5 meals per day for most people is going to be your best bet for overall body composition. Whether you eat 2 meals a day or 8 meals a day, as long as your total intake is consistent, it's not going to make a huge difference. But in terms of really maximizing protein synthesis within the muscle, maximizing muscle growth and those sorts of aspects, I would say probably 3 being a minimum and 5 probably being the maximum of what you really need is probably going to be your most efficient for protein intake. But with that said, I would definitely spread your intake over 3, 4, 5 meals as evenly as possible as you can. And for most athletes, unless I get someone that is currently taking in a large amount of protein and I'm gradually working their protein down a little bit, or someone that's taking in very little protein and I'm having to gradually increase their protein. For someone that's in what I consider a pretty good range, I will have, especially for female athletes, I will have them take in anywhere from around 25 grams of a high quality protein, that being obviously a complete protein source, usually a dairy or animal source, some kind of whey protein powder, some sort of meat, things like that. Around 25 grams for smaller women, I would say closer to the 100 and 125, 135 pound range. and then above that, probably upwards of around 40 grams of protein. There's a big myth out there, without going into a tangent, there's a myth that more than 40 grams is wasted and a human can't digest more than 40 grams. In short, that's very misinformed information. A fair amount of research, especially in the last few years, that has shown greater than 30 or 40 grams per meal can actually have a pretty substantial benefit, possibly. It's not that 40 grams or more is wasted, but just for most females, 25 to 40 grams is going to be sufficient to stimulate protein synthesis as much as we need to, without leaving them having to eat pounds and pounds of chicken breast a week and really having a hard time getting all their protein in per day. So I would say pre and post workout, I would have around 25 to 40 grams per meal. You're going to be in a really good spot if you're having around that much per meal for upwards of 5 or so meals a day. The last thing I would say about pre and post workout before I got into intra workout is, especially in probably I would say the last decade or so, as the supplement industry has continued to grow, I would also say I have nothing against the supplement industry. I've held a few different positions in the supplement industry. I definitely think there are some companies out there that are doing things right, that are actually using legitimate research and not research that they paid for to support their claims and to support their formulations. But of course, with any industry, there are some people that would rather capitalize off of their consumers and make a profit without really caring about the efficacy of their products. But that being said, the post-workout anabolic window, post-workout nutrition, that is largely over-exaggerated by a lot of people in the industry. Hey everybody, so I didn't realize until I had gotten back that my original video cut off a little sooner than I had anticipated, so I just wanted to jump back on here. First off, just touch on the post-workout window that I had mentioned before I got cut off. Like I had mentioned before when I was talking about carbs, there's definitely a point after your workout for a few hours after a weight training session that glycogen replenishment rate, that replenishment occurs, is heightened. Of course, protein synthesis is going to be important just to get back to building and repairing that muscle tissue after you've broken some of it down during the training session. But as far as really feeling the need to pound that post-workout shake as soon as your last set is done, that's something that I hope this video can help to alleviate some of that stress for a lot of you that may have been doing that at this point. Like I said, the glycogen replenishment rate is a little bit higher for a couple hours, but that really needs to be looked at as a 24 or 48 hour spectrum versus a couple hours. As long as you're not training multiple times in a day, which for a natural athlete is probably not a good idea anyway, but if you're not training sooner than probably 24 hours apart from each other, that's not really something that you're going to have to worry about. I say all that to say, if you want your post-workout meal to be a meal and actually be whole food that you get to chew and enjoy and is going to be a little bit more filling than just having a shake, that's something that I certainly wouldn't discourage you from doing. I personally haven't drank a protein shake in probably 3 or 4 years now. Everything that I've seen in the research, I'm pretty sure that has not hurt any of my gains to this point in my lifting career. I think as long as you're going to get a quality protein source in, as long as you're getting the amount of carbs that work for your diet and that of course help you to start replenishing glycogen and just have the energy that you need for the rest of the day and everything on that end, certainly don't feel the need to drink a post-workout shake just because that's been the common practice for the last several years, because a lot of the time that's either someone wanting to pitch something edgy to their clients to make it seem like their plans are more cutting edge, or it's a company selling a product that makes them money, and of course they really want you to be interested in maximizing the post-workout window. So as long as you're having a post-workout meal an hour, 2 hours after your workout, you're going to be fine, and it's certainly nothing that I have my clients stress about. It's nothing I stress about, and even just friends of mine that ask. So that really just leaves me with intra-workout. Once your pre and your post-workout nutrition's taken care of, you're pretty well set. Intra-workout, I know some people that don't do anything intra-workout. They might sip on some water, and some people that really want to maximize it. I'm a little bit in the middle. There's a lot of products out there that you could potentially invest in if you really feel the need to. I really like to keep it pretty simple. BCAAs and carb powders are going to be the two things that the research has helped to support the most and are pretty easy to invest in, as far as, unless you get one of these really expensive brands of products that have all these different kind of ingredients in it, you can usually get a pretty solid staple type BCAA supplement, and you can get a very cheap carb powder, whether that's dextrose or just using like a Gatorade powder. So both of these are going to be something that you can pick up pretty easily and add into your plan. I would say for most people you're going to be lifting 1 to 2 hours, 2 hours probably being a maximum, or just a really long session during the week for most people. Usually it's an hour, hour and a half for most resistance training athletes. So with that, without going into a lot of detail, I'm going to have an article launching in probably 2 weeks on this that's going to give a much more in-depth scientific breakdown of my suggestions and cite a lot of research for someone that's interested in really getting into the nitty-gritty. But generally, as just a quick rule of thumb, I would say 10 to 20 grams of a simple carbohydrate powder, again, that being something like pure dextrose, which can be bought in bulk online from a lot of different places, which is what I do, or even just a Gatorade powder that you can add into your shaker cup of water. 10 to 20 grams depending on your diet, depending on how long you are training, and some of those factors will help you kind of decide where in that range to be at. Again, that's really going to help with delaying fatigue, even going to help with your pump to a degree. It's just really going to help with energy levels, help you to work out harder for longer each session, so you're really going to get the most out of your workouts. And those same things tend to apply for BCAAs as well. As long as your pre and post workout nutrition is on point, as long as your daily protein intake is on point. There's some that argue that BCAAs during a training session are completely unnecessary. I'm not saying that's invalid or not a good argument, but I've seen a well enough research to think that there's some benefit to having BCAAs during your workouts, and there's definitely not going to be a harm to having BCAAs during your workouts. So again, my article that I have coming out is going to go much more in depth, but there's a central fatigue theory which essentially explains that BCAA consumption can help reduce the production of serotonin for a short amount of time, which, long story short, is going to help to delay fatigue during a training session. So having those BCAAs along with your carb powder during your workout is going to help delay fatigue a little bit longer, so you can work out a little harder, a little longer. And it's also just going to provide another fuel source that's going to be pretty readily absorbed and taken up into the muscle tissue during exercise. So again, it's going to help to spare the amino acids and proteins already within your muscle. It's going to help spare a little bit of that blood sugar during your session, so you don't get that bonked feeling. It's just a really good cocktail to have during your workouts. I have pretty much every athlete that I work with, and except maybe some new athletes that I kind of want to ease into things. I have pretty much everybody do some type of BCAA and carb powder. I would say 6 to 10 grams of BCAAs during your workout, along with 10 to 20 grams of your carb powder. It's going to be a really good additional thing that you can do around your workouts to really help you get that last little bit of effort out in your workouts, train a little bit harder, a little bit longer, really just maximize your results, which is obviously what a lot of us, especially those that are competing or just simply or really driven to improve their physique, are looking to do. So anyway, I hope that between this video and the last video, nothing got cut out that I missed, but definitely hope that that helps some of you guys to, like I said, optimize your training sessions a little bit more and at least give you some things to think about that can help you to adjust your program, even if it's not exactly what I suggest. Maybe it will just kind of help get your brain going as far as what you can do to maybe tweak your workout sessions and workout nutrition as well. We're definitely hoping this Tuesday Talks with Andrew is something that we can continue to do over the next several months, and of course, if you guys have topics that you would like Christina or myself or both of us to touch on in some of these videos, feel free to comment or message her or myself. We'd definitely love to cover whatever topics you guys find most beneficial. Definitely hope to cover a pretty wide variety of topics just to help out when we can. But either way, definitely very excited for the future, excited for this series, and of course to see Christina step on stage and get married later this year. But anyway, until next time guys, thank you a lot for checking this out.
So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you haven't already, please give it a thumbs up if you thought this topic was informative, and also comment below either something that you found helpful or a topic that you would like him or I to cover next. So I'm not sure if I'm going to be doing these every Tuesday or if we're going to be doing these every other Tuesday. We'll definitely have these videos out for you guys, and I'm really excited, and like I said, I really like to give back and to make sure that you guys are learning something from this series. So thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!